as I was examining and dissecting the cranium or the head area, I noticed that there was some hemorrhage around a hole that had been drilled in the skull. And hemorrhage in a forensic sense means that an injury occurred when there was a blood pressure. When a person is injured and they're in a post-mortem state or after their heart stops beating, there's not a lot of blood that gets pushed into the tissue. But the fact that there was hemorrhage around the area led me to believe that it may have been an injury that had been incurred before death. And so I examined the brain tissue, and I did find that there was a wound tract or a track through the brain tissue that looked hemorrhagic. And so I recovered that area, photographed it, and then looked at it under the microscope. And what I found was that there was an inflammation in that track. And so when we see inflammation, that means that there was a time factor that happened between the time of obtaining the injury and the time the person died.
Dr. Jensen was concerned, how do these holes get into people's skulls? Jeff, although he told us he was cutting open people and disposing of the body, he didn't tell us that he was attempting to create a zombie until we presented him with the evidence that there was what appeared to be holes drilled in the top of these skulls.
We looked at that with the neuropathologist, who's an expert in brain anatomy and tissue, and we made the diagnosis that this injury had been inflicted while the person was alive and that the person had survived for some time after receiving that injury.
And he even shook his head when he told me, he goes, it was a weird kind of a thought I had that I could create someone who I wouldn't have to go out and kill. I drilled in their heads and I experimented with different things. He goes, I would go down about 1/4 of an inch with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and then I would fill up a basting needle. I tried first a mixture of Soilex and hot water. I thought if I shot that in there, it might affect part of the brain that would stop them from talking and stop them from being demanding, but just being alive, being a docile sex partner. However, everyone I tried it with died eventually.